same year, I moved my family into Moore Hall as the dorm head. My daughter Abby enrolled in Tilton as a freshman, and I became the +5. That was a busy year for us. Since that time, I have had the pleasure to have been surrounded by very, very talented faculty who have creatively and thoughtfully designed programming to enrich the experience for our students. For example, the span of the +5 spirit has reached all the way to the Dominican Republic for the past several years as an international cultural and service project directed by Mrs. Julie Caldwell. This trip has become a signature experience for the members of our community who are fortunate enough to attend. And to a person, everyone who makes this trip speaks of how their lives have changed as a result of it. Our arts program continues to grow and flourish under the supervision of several dedicated faculty, most of whom you will hear from tonight, and they're led by Mr. Eric O'Neill. Between art installations and shows and theater and music productions, we are continually blessed with professionally organized and staged events on this campus. This week, we've experienced just one of many events organized each year by our wellness team, led by Chuck Carter and Angela Yearling. A strong team of students is instrumental in providing meaningful, informative, and fun programming for the entire community. This team makes our school better every day. In terms of our outdoor program, Mr. Tyler Newgold has strengthened our relationship with the Evo Rock Climbing Facility in Concord and has led numerous outdoor adventures for our students and faculty. If the +5 program in and of itself is a reflection of the commitment by students and faculty to push themselves beyond their comfort zones and take risks to make the world better, then there is no finer example than the 50 or so community members who marched today to commemorate the anniversary of the Columbine tragedy. This is simply one of many examples of our leadership program led by Mrs. Jackie O'Rourke. May I offer my thanks to each and every one of you who participated in the march today. And if you would you all please stand now to be recognized by the community? If you march today, please stand. Programming this year, I thank you sincerely. Without all of you, none of this good work would be possible. This evening, we'll acknowledge members of the community for their contributions. I ask that you listen carefully as they are announced, and that you please be respectful to those who are presenting. At this time, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker. Kai Murphy, a graduate of 2011 as a 3-year senior, was the Baker Award recipient that year. If you don't know what the Baker is the top +5 award awarded each year. Kai came to us in the fall of her sophomore year, lived in West Knowles where I was the interim dorm head. And to say Kaya was edgy would be an understatement. Kaya did not suffer fools well, nor did she apologize for this. From the day she set foot on this campus, Kaya Murphy commanded respect. Fiercely protective of her friends, or any members of the community who she believed had been oppressed or wronged, she understood and followed a higher and deeper moral compass than any student handbook could capture. Kaya was a 3-season athlete, playing field hockey, softball, and competing on the school ski team. But she also found the time to participate in our outdoor program. In fact, she and a small group of faculty and students made a winter ascent of Mount Washington. If you didn't know, it's the highest peak in New Hampshire, and it's also known for extreme and deadly weather, especially in the winter. She took roles in a number of theater productions. She acted as a proctor for me in Moore Hall for 2 years, and was instrumental in that role in developing residential life programming that both supported young women and challenged them to be their best. As a student leader and captain of the softball team, Kaya and others developed an intense anti-hazing program that was presented to the entire school community. I could go on and on, but I will now relinquish the podium to a young woman whom I am proud to call a friend, and who is a true inspiration to me every day. She embodies the idea that through hard work, positive spirit, confidence, and belief in the goodness of people, much can be accomplished. If you were wise, and you happen to have a pen on you tonight, you might want to stay around after the meeting to get an autograph on the back of your program. Because if I had to put money on it, the young woman you're about to hear speak will someday be a U.S. Senator or an Attorney General, the Secretary of State, and maybe even the President. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to one of my favorite people this time.
Given the privilege to speak to you all this evening. I want to give a particular big thank you to Mrs. Dorigo, who throughout my entire time here at Tilton, as if you couldn't have already told, was one of my biggest fans, which is ironic because if I recall correctly, we didn't meet on the warmest of terms. I believe she caught me for my first arrivals violation on my second day at Tilton. I remember being quite defensive and slightly brash with her, bearing in mind I wasn't the most rule-abiding student. From my flagrant dress code violations to my numerous arrivals violations, some may even have labeled me as difficult. But I remember vividly the way Mrs. D approached my first of many mistakes that would be made at Tilton. She reprimanded me in a way that suggested, I appreciate your attitude, but you're going to have to learn the rules of this game if you want to succeed. So that's what I did. This interaction set the tone to how I would approach the rest of my days at Tilton and the way I try to approach my life today. To go against the grain, but in a pragmatic and effective way. My decision to go to Tilton was the first major transition I would embark on in my life, and arguably the most influential in terms of molding the person I am today. This stems from a multitude of reasons, many of which I'm sure you can all identify with. Learning how to do your own laundry, budgeting for delivery 5 nights a week, how to look good at a formal event, and most importantly, how to sacrifice a Saturdays. But on a serious note, I am eternally grateful for the relevant life skills I learned at Tilton, in addition to a pretty great education. But the most critical skill that I acquired, and that I'm thankful for, was how to be unwavering and to lean in, as Sheryl Sandberg, Facebook CEO, has famously described it. When I first arrived at Tilton, my sophomore year, I discovered that up on the hill, the world is my oyster. If you were so inclined, you could essentially embark on any path you wanted to. My path was always heavily aligned with athletics, as my goal was to play Division I sports. But I was also able to tap into other parts of myself. This included theater, where in my first play, I gave birth in front of the entire school. The Health and Wellness Club, where my best friends and I, including George Niang, the now NBA player, facilitated presentations on safe sex, STIs, and mental health, very pertinent issues that were often overlooked in what was a pretty conservative environment. I had never been in a setting where boxes were merely suggestions and people chose to break stereotypes every day. I was inspired. Yet the most meaningful times at Tilton for me were forging partnerships with people outside of the community and gaining a global awareness of issues that permeated beyond the clock tower. These moments were some of my most trying times, as they were often met with skepticism and hesitation from faculty and students alike. In the wake of the 2010 Haiti earthquake that claimed upwards of 250,000 lives, myself and a group of friends galvanized into action as this was the most shocking disaster we'd ever seen. We were aware that this was a crisis of epic proportions, and that humanitarian aid needed would obviously surpass the capacities of a small New England boarding school. We were also aware, however, that as a community of predominantly privileged young people, we had an obligation to take action. So, the no-brainer manifested itself in the $20,000 price tag of the prom. Without hesitation, my girlfriends and I crafted the simple plan of canceling prom, or substantially downsizing from the cruise ship in Boston Harbor, and using the cost of a prom ticket towards relief efforts that could be sent to Haiti on behalf of Tilton School. To our complete shock, the idea was met with outrage. Our doe eyes and bleeding hearts were shattered. We couldn't fathom the fact that our loving Tilton community, the place that gave us every opportunity to be well-rounded critical thinkers, became this hostile environment that ultimately stymied our power of potential. Of course, there were many factors at play. However, the enduring issue was that people were simply not willing to give up their prom. The outcome of the situation was less than ideal. We didn't have the boat party and ended up at a rather anticlimactic venue down the road that consumed everyone's ticket money anyway. And that was the end of the story. Nobody really got what they wanted, no fancy Boston yacht, and not a cent to the hundreds of thousands suffering in Haiti. It was the first divisive issue I engaged with in a public manner, and ultimately my first failure. It was the first time I observed that people could be fundamentally different from one another, and that despite these differences, it is absolutely vital to stay your course and keep leaning in. 2 years after the earthquake, I ended up traveling to Haiti. At the time, I was playing field hockey at Boston University, and my team donated enough equipment for me to take down to organize a field hockey camp for youth. Soon after this, my older sister started our family nonprofit, Recovery and Wellness Haiti, which offers mental health services to orphan youth in Port-au-Prince. To this day, she and her Haitian husband travel back and forth multiple times a year delivering goods and services. It's interesting how things can come full circle. 2 years after the earthquake, shortly after my trip to Haiti, I had a moment of introspection and eventually decided I need to shift my own direction in life. I then embarked on my second biggest transition. I left BU and transferred to a small, pretty quirky liberal arts school in Worcester, Mass, Clark University. I was initially intimidated by the way Clarkies, as they were called, fervently fought and advocated for the things I cared about. For a self-proclaimed liberal, I was quickly awoken to a deeper level of consciousness that related to diversity and equality. My first two roommates both identified as trans, and I quickly learned the importance of using proper gender pronouns and the significance of gender-neutral bathrooms in creating inclusive spaces. It wasn't unusual for protests to occur at any given time on campus, and on one occasion, I found myself in the middle of Clark's Gymnasium disrupting a basketball game as part of a Black Lives Matter walkout. Full disclosure, however, I often accidentally wound up in these spaces, simply supporting my friends who were vehemently fighting against social injustice. My peers were brilliant, intimidating, and pushed me out of my comfort zone, allowing me to deconstruct many of my own prejudices. It took a while for me to recognize the importance of not only leaning in to further my own agenda, but accepting the pushback from others. Looking back, Tilton built the foundation for perseverance, while Clark pushed me further, testing my integrity and commitment to advocating for social cohesion. These two institutions would define the way my third and most recent transition would play out, Cape Town, South Africa. I arrived in the mother city 4 years ago and never looked back. It quickly became my home. I initially studied abroad during my junior year and loved it so much that I knew I needed to move there. So I decided to attend the University of Cape Town, where I would eventually go on to receive an honors and master's degree in human rights law. As of this evening, I've been home from South Africa for 4 weeks, and I'm only just beginning to process through the reverse culture shock and beginning to reflect on my time spent away. Cape Town was the most comfortable place to be uncomfortable. With a backdrop of stunning Table Mountain, the Atlantic and Indian Oceans to either side of me, and some of the world's best wine, what more could a young person ask for? But once I left the confines of my predominantly white, gated spaces, a stone's throw away in any given direction lived a much different reality. Stark inequality, abject poverty, the residual effects of centuries of racial oppression, and the highest rates of sexual violence and HIV/AIDS in the world. I worked for various human rights organizations over the course of my time in Cape Town. And apart from dealing with clients from all over the continent that had endured some of the most egregious acts of injustice one could ever imagine, part of my duties included sifting through South African newspapers to flag human rights-related issues. As the days went on, I began to take notice of the proliferation of news stories pertaining to heinous acts of violence against women and girls. My head was constantly infiltrated with accounts of rape, gang rape, domestic violence, and murder. These narratives, compounded with my own experiences with violence in South Africa, began to shape the way I saw and internalized the patriarchy around me. In the midst of a constant state of confusion and anger, I decided to cut out the stories, because I really didn't know what else to do. So, to commence last year's 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, I decided to set my own goal of 25 days of activeness, if you will. And for 25 days in a row, with no rest, a whistle tied to the end of my braid, a taser in one hand, and a corkscrew in the other, I hiked, ran, and crawled my way to the top of Table Mountain. Each day, I would bring a newspaper clipping with me, reread it, and let it go at the top. In relation to the pervasive and endemic nature of violence against women and girls, which these stories represented, my act was insignificant. From a personal standpoint, however, these stories offered me profound comfort to keep going. No sleep, scorching heat, wind, rain, loneliness that conjured fear, debilitating muscle soreness and fatigue, their stories got me to the top every day. These women allowed me to discover the privilege of being alive and the ability to have the agency to take control. So in my subtle way to honor them in solidarity, I kept going up the mountain. I wouldn't have been able to get through my experience in South Africa, Haiti, Clark, or even Boston University field hockey if it wasn't for the fundamental skills I acquired here up on the hill at Tilton. I'm now putting these skills into action and will be going to law school next year to become a human rights lawyer. To the young women in this room, it's imperative to lean into any challenge that you are faced with. And to the gentlemen, do not fear your ability to show empathy and compassion. It's okay to possess a certain finesse that allows for confrontation and assertiveness while maintaining an open line of communication. Because if I've learned one thing in my life thus far, it is that many people are denied this opportunity. Congratulations to every one of you this evening. You really all inspire me. Thank you.
For the outdoor program for this year. First thing I'd like to do is thank Ms. Tara Grisson for the past 3 years. She's been really supportive of me in terms of transportation and helping make sure there aren't conflicts with athletics. And thank you to Ms. Elaine Rio as well. She's been incredibly supportive of everything that I've needed, and I wouldn't be able to do it without her. The outdoor program, what we like to do is we focus on exploration and really trying to do new things that people haven't tried before. The activities that include this year are hiking, swimming, rock climbing, bouldering, stand-up paddleboarding, and whitewater sports. So in the fall and in the winter, to an extent, we try these different things. My favorite moment in the outdoor program since I've been at Tilton School actually happened this year. We went hiking up a river, one of our favorite hikes that we like to do. And Liam Conley and Jeremy Hall decided, let's hike up the river a little further. We could still see the trail, but they decided we're going to hike up a little further. We found caves along the river, and we hiked up to a point that was basically the farthest I've ever been, and they said, let's keep going. They wanted to keep exploring. So we hiked up further, and we found this little pool. And Jeremy and Liam said, let's jump in. So a handful of us, after making sure it was safe, we actually had some spectators up on the trail watching us, but we jumped in, and it was cold. It was 70 degrees out, but it was really cold. But that is something that I would have never experienced if it weren't for people pushing me to just go a little bit further. So thank you to those two. Now for the outdoor program award. This goes to a student new to school this year, participated in the outdoor program for 2 years, and really embodied the idea of exploration, curiosity, and we're working on how we can take calculated risks. But This year's outdoor program award winner is Jacob Jr.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight I'm going to recognize students who participated in the visual arts program outside of the academic day. These students used free periods, the after school, and or the Tuesday, Thursday nights during study hall. The following students have gone above and beyond the realm of visual arts. Please congratulate Isabel Benoit, Todd Ding, Paula Yelimenez, Zach Gutman, and Olivia Camp. Next, I'm going to give a Spirit Award, and this is given to a visual artist that uses pretty much all of her free time after school, 3 seasons worth of art. Please congratulate all of them.
It is always a challenge to move from the ensemble into the lead role of a musical. There is no time for loitering with all the lines to memorize, songs to learn, and hours upon hours of rehearsal to get it right. Queen Yuan tackled all of these challenges with patience, energy, and skill. She took her work even further by serving her peers as a leader. She was supportive to everyone on stage and helped them to become the best performers they could be.
Talented musicians are often easy to find, but not always easy to work with. Queen has spent the past 3 years establishing a reputation as a talented young lady who is always willing to share her gift with others, whether it is a solo performer or as a collaborative artist. Her skills as a musician on guitar and piano, as well as her gorgeous voice, make Queen an outstanding musician and a Tilton School treasure. Please join us in recognizing Tilton's own Lena as this year's music presenter.
It is extremely challenging to be a student artist, and few are able to handle the commitments as well as Sophie Burke's done. She took the set of the winter musical to a level unseen at Tilton School. She owned that set. She lived and breathed that set and made that world come alive. Without her time and dedication to the world of Seuss, the world of Seuss would not have been as vibrant and lively. Thank you, Sophie, for creating the world so we could live in it. The next student artist took on 2 roles this year that showcased very different sides of her. The first, her need for order and perfection in the role of Florence, And the second, her elephant-sized heart and the need to do the right thing with Horton the elephant. We won't make a comparison to her current role. All in all, Anna Katulis has had astronomical growth and rock-solid performance and deserves this award.
years ago when the Health and Wellness team came together, our goal was humble. We simply wanted faculty and students to know we existed. Years later, we invaded various locations utilizing the Stall Street Journals, the school surveys, guest presenters, school meetings, distress nights, journal talks, and most recently, our annual health fair. The Health and Wellness team is made up of students and faculty, members, provide educational programming to the community. Our intention is to provide more information so you can make your educational choice.
Right, so we have a small but incredible team of students who volunteer the lunch hour every Friday to brainstorm topics and ideas. I've appreciated each and every one of you for your input, your dedication, and your positive attitudes. It would not be as much fun without you. At this time, please help me recognize two seniors who are leaving our group this year. They stepped up to the plate time and again with their dependability and amazing work ethic. Whether it was to captain the team during the stress night, set up the fair, or tackle the topic of sexual and reproductive health, Kaya, we got a lot more graphic this year. You're gonna need it, right? Please welcome and thank Tia Resplante and Gerard Loretta.
Every year, the students and faculty at the Tilton School offer their time, energy, and talents towards meeting the needs of the community through physical service projects, fundraising efforts, mentoring opportunities, and service learning programming. The community service program has evolved and grown over the years to include multiple activities and opportunities for students to get involved in the community by giving back and leading by example.
Through the Plus 5 program, students have the opportunity to dedicate a season of their afternoon time towards serving in the local community. Members of the community service team take part in a variety of activities, such as visiting with veterans at the New Hampshire Veterans Home, mentoring to children at local schools and youth centers, preparing meals at the soup kitchen, learning about the needs of people experiencing Alzheimer's and autism, assisting local residents with their seasonal cleanup projects, and coordinating donations for local and international nonprofits.
Students also take part in grade-level programming and all-school community service and activism efforts, such as the 9th grade Empty Bowls project, the 10th grade Halloween Haunted House, peer tutors, the collection of supplies for hurricane relief in Puerto Rico, dress down day fundraisers, seniors helping seniors, and the upcoming all-school community service day. Students are encouraged to seek out additional opportunities to serve in a greater capacity outside of the Tilton community during their breaks and free time, such as the service learning trip to the Dominican Republic and other service learning programs.
Tonight, we are gathered to recognize several individuals who have received commendations from our service partners for their service efforts this school year as members of the community service team. Would the following students please come forward to receive the Achievement Award for their contributions? Sarah Sharpner, Ryan Flynn, and Max Keith.
Sarah has been a multi-season community service team participant and was especially a valued contributor to the Franklin Thrives after-school program this winter, where she demonstrated an inherent sensibility for problem solving and coordinating group activities. The staff members were especially impressed with how Sarah was able to animate, engage, and include several kids who would otherwise have been out on the fringe and who just needed a friendly person to reach out to them and make them feel important. Thank you, Sarah.
Ryan took part in the community service team this past fall, contributing to a variety of service projects at the Spalding Youth Center, the Veterans Home, Soup Kitchen, and the Franklin Thrives After School program. In all venues, Ryan always gave his all, stepping up to help where most needed, always participating with enthusiasm and purpose. The folks at the New Hampshire Veterans Home were especially impressed by Ryan's work ethic and ambitious thoughts for future study and career. The veterans were therefore very eager to share life advice with him and wish Ryan all the best as he heads off to college next year.
Max Keith, who isn't able to be here this evening, he's homesick, but Max is natural with children. While he is also a major athlete pursuing an ILE for soccer training this spring, Max has made time in his schedule to focus on investing in youth. Specifically, engaging in cooperative games with kids at the Spalding Youth Center, volunteering in the classroom with kids at the Union Sanborn School, and running recreation activities at the after-school program in Franklin. Max is very approachable and personable, and our service partners have taken notice of his ability to connect with kids and model good sportsmanship, fair play, inclusion, and cooperation.
And now we have one final recognition. Would Olivia Patterson please come forward to receive the Spirit Award for Distinction in Community Service? The Spirit Awards are designed to recognize those students who, in the opinion of the +5 faculty, tried something new and then took their experience to a deeper level. And through this experience, found a passion that they didn't previously realize they had, in essence, demonstrating the true +5 spirit.
Olivia has a heart for kids. She is a multi-season community service team member who, even during her off-season, makes time to see her kids over at the Union Sanborn School. She jumps in whenever she does not have play rehearsal or an athletic game or practice. Olivia's easygoing, warm, and humble personality make her very approachable and very easy for kids to connect with. It is always so heartwarming to see the little kids run up to Olivia and give her hugs when she arrives to the classroom or the playground. This past March, Olivia participated in this service learning trip to the Dominican Republic, where she also spent significant time with the local children, assisting the teachers in the classroom, playing with the kids, and using her advanced level Spanish skills to culture share. During the summer, Olivia will continue to invest with children by serving as a counselor at Camps Bernadette and Fatima. Thank you again to Sarah, Ryan, Max, and Olivia for all your efforts to make the world a better place. And thank you again to everyone, all of the Tilton School students, families, faculty, and staff who make it a priority to serve others each and every day. Take care.
and integrity, and students who will make a long-lasting, positive impact in the community and in the world. Tilton believes that every student has the inherent interest and capacity to become a successful and celebrated leader. And through curricular opportunities and ongoing training, they will develop the leadership skills necessary to be a respected and contributing member of society. This program is an integral part of the Tilton experience and offers every student the opportunity to make Tilton a better school. This year, we are honored to recognize those students who are recognized for their outstanding leadership in one or more areas of the school. First, I would like to acknowledge the contributions of the following students in at least one area of school life. Please come forward when I read your name. Audience, this is a bit of a long list because we have some awesome leaders, so please hold your applause until I've read all of the names. Mika Goldick, Ashlyn Brown, Sophie Burgess-Dunn, Maggie Callender, Jamie Cates, Kirsten Chandonnet, Casey Cormier, Ryan Flynn, Nicole Fredo, Nick Durante, Doris Lee, Lane Manning, Gerard Barretto, Zoe Nash-Boucher, Cassie Nevers, Stephanie Nevers, Sarah Shartner, Carolina Tellman, Daniel Tomcat, and Ryan Merrick. Come on. Led the
and community service.
Congratulations to all of our student leaders.
A few additional people that I would like to acknowledge this evening. Some who have made significant contributions, although sometimes in quiet ways and might fly under the radar just a bit. The first one is to a student who, along with her family, last fall, developed a program to help the victims of Hurricane Harvey. Almost single-handedly as a young adult, she managed to gather 2, I believe, U-Hauls full of furniture and deliver them to needy families and people in the southern part of this country. Is Maddie Vanderpool here tonight? No. Well, this is for her. Everybody congratulate her. I'd like to acknowledge my +5 representatives. Abby and Cheyenne and Logan are here tonight and have helped me, and I appreciate them so very much. So thank you guys for being here. It's not easy to get up in front of a crowd like this and perform and make yourself vulnerable. So tonight I have a small token, each for Queena and for Blaine for sharing their talent with us this evening. And I know how hard they worked to prepare for this, and I really appreciate it. And it really is a sacrifice to give up time from your busy schedule. So Queena and Blaine, thank you. And last but not least, there have been a few people, a couple actually, 2 to be precise, who have stuck with me through this journey for all of the last 9 years. Mr. Eric O'Neill and Mrs. Julie Caldwell as my arts and culture coordinator and my community service coordinator. And we would not have these programs at the school if it were not for them. So for their 9 years, 9+ years in some cases, of service to the school, and it really is my right hand. Thank you so much. Please come up. And one more. We're almost done. Kaya, would you come up and help me with this one, please? Each year, the Mike Baker Award is presented to that student who most clearly exemplifies the spirit of as many aspects of the +5 program as possible in their time at the school. This year, the award goes to a young woman who is active as a leader in the school, as a member of student government, as a proctor, an ambassador, and a member of the wellness team. She has promoted the arts at Tilton through musical performances and theater participation. She's also an interscholastic athlete and a very proud member of our club hockey team. It should come to no surprise to anyone that the Mike Baker Award this year goes to Queenie Yuan. We're going to have one musical performance.
She has tried to instill in this community a spirit of thinking beyond and outside yourself and caring for others and trying to do the right thing, not only for people who need it, especially that, but just when somebody needs a kind smile. And I have to say, as her partner, watching her day in and day out, I feel like that's what she's done. And she's asked me, and truth be told, you guys know how embarrassing was, we picked together the following song, which we think sort of embodies what we should all pay attention to as we move forward in life. See the love there that
tonight it's my honor to say a few words about Mrs. DeRigo. Mrs. DeRigo joined our faculty staff in September of 2003. She holds an undergraduate degree in accounting and management and also an MBA, which she earned in 1999. And before coming to Tilton, Mrs. DeRigo established herself in her field, holding positions of successive responsibility in a variety of banks throughout New England, Concord Hospital, and the Concord Monitor. She distinguished herself in those responsibilities, and we were very lucky to have her become part of our lives here at Tilton School. And I've had the honor of knowing Mrs. DeRigo for these past 6 years, and I am constantly awed by her unwavering commitment to our +5 program. She has sparked the attention of both her colleagues and her students by advocating for +5 for the enhancements and the opportunities for you, the students. At the center of all she does for us as our +5 director, as a teacher, as a dorm parent, as an advisor, is her courageous heart. She is an outstanding educator, colleague, and leader that wants the best in every one of us. Her passion is palpable, and her drive is undeniable. On behalf of the faculty, staff, and students at Tilton School, we thank you for all your years of service and leadership, and we wish you the very best for the next chapter of your life in New York City.
The one thing I can say is, this has never been about me, so thank you very much. I'm going to miss you all very much. So thank you for everything. Thank you for your support. And thank you for participating in the programs that I helped provide to the school. And I should say, after 9 years, every year I've neglected to thank my husband for his support. And so I'm going to rectify that tonight. Thank you.